Good afternoon, people. We are live. Apologies for being 3 minutes late. It's been a very long morning, lots of work to do. So I'm now giving myself a lunch hour. I will be joined shortly by Marlon from the Hotspur Hood and a view from the South Stand. And we will be talking about everything that happened yesterday. This day has split opinions. I think you've got the people who think it means one thing. You've got the people who are trying to be a bit more pragmatic and think it means something else. Are we all wrong? Are we in the middle? Do any of us actually know what any of this means? Or is this just a brilliantly worded statement from the PR team at Tottenham Hotspur? What we do know is we will find out shortly. The summer has started as far as football transfers are concerned, not as far as weather is concerned from looking out of my window, but as far as football transfers are concerned, the summer has started. Liverpool have already signed Fabio Carvalho. Aston Villa have signed Kamara and are in talks with Tarkowski. Apparently we're in talks with Fraser Forster, so there is definitely things going on. Man United have said that Aaron Wan-Bissaka can leave. It's going to be a very, very interesting summer. So let's, before Marlon arrives, he has told me he may be a few minutes late, so that is no problem at all. Quite comfortable doing it for myself. First of all, big up to everyone who is in the chat. Perchy, Daryl, I have just made you moderators. Hopefully you've now got access to that. Please feel free if you see anyone being rude, trying to ruin the comments and the show. Please feel free to just remove them. I think at the end of the day, this should just be about talking football. There's no need for any of us to get personal. There's no need. So let's chat football. So for me, the comments yesterday, it's interesting, right? So when, as I said yesterday on Henry's show, when I first saw the statement and I saw the wording of it, I didn't quite read it the same that I think everybody else has read it as, if that makes sense. The way I saw it was, yes, Spurs, Enic have said they're going to chuck in 150 million. They've been vague as to on or off pitch, which is their right. Absolutely. I wouldn't ever imagine that a football club would turn around and go, we have got 300 million for this or 200 million, 100. So I completely get that. The wording as well talks about using it in its tranches, which means it all needs to be used by the end of the year. What does that mean? Are we going to use it to buy new floodlights? Are we going to invest in the academy? Are we going to invest in the women's team? Who knows? What I do know is it's a positive. It is a positive. I don't get as excited about it as everyone else because, again, I've been supporting Spurs for long enough to know that it's not black and white. Then you have to take other things to account. Are they putting in 150 million? Is that all going to be used on transfers and that's all we're going to use? Is that being added to maybe a previous budget that we had arranged? What was that? 100 million, 150? Does that now mean we're only spending 150 or are we spending 300 or 2? We don't know, which is why I will wait to see. I'm seeing a lot of reports from people talking about, they've got inside knowledge that all of this money will be on transfers and this, that, the other. That's great, but we'll wait and see. I keep my feet on the ground as a Spurs fan. I always look down the middle road because I've been stung before by thinking we're going to invest, by thinking that we're going to be brilliant and being stung. So look, it is positive. Let's see what we do this summer. Let's see where the funds go. And we've also got to realize that with these funds, they're going to pay for any free transfers. Obviously, I think when people say, oh, it's a free transfer, there's always a signing on fee for the player. There's a signing on fee for the agent. So it's not strictly a free transfer. So with that in mind, I'm going to be very interested to see what does this summer hold. Surely what we will see is we will see a summer where we don't leave everything to the last minute. And we don't just bring in signings in the last 2-3 weeks and then wonder why they're not ready to go for the first game in August. So that should be good. And that's something that I would really like to see. And that would really, for me, as a hard to please fan, that would really signal our intent of change. And change is an interesting word because change is what's needed. Change is what Man City went through, what Chelsea went through. Change is what Liverpool went through when they decided that, okay, we're going to sell Coutinho, we're going to buy some top players in, yada, 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 yada. So at the end of the day, let's see. I don't want to get carried away. I don't want to, last night I was on a show, and I'll be honest, I did decide to stop filming after a little while just because it got a little bit silly. So let's hope it doesn't get there again. And thank you for anyone who sent me nice messages afterwards. I believe that, I've had some difficulties in the past on Twitter and online, etc. But look, I think the fact that it keeps getting brought up is really, really silly. I don't think it impresses anyone anymore, and I don't think anyone cares. So I should not let it affect me. And thank you to Henry Wright for my little pep talk last night. Let's talk football. So I've been told for months and months and months, I've sat here and I've said this for years, we need 7, 8, 9 players, right? Because the squad for me is very, very weak, and the nucleus of that squad isn't good enough. The 4 or 5 is keeping us going. The Romeros, the Bentancurs, the Kulusevskis, the Kane, the Son. For me now, there needs to be a lot of work. Now, what I find funny about when I said it, I got told I was wrong. It wasn't Football Manager. Come on, this isn't how the real life works. Then what I'm hearing from the fans now is, oh my God, we've got millions and millions to spend. We're going to buy 7, 8, 9 players. We're going to have a title challenge. We're going to win the Champions League, the FA Cup. So it just makes you laugh that if the everyday man or woman says, I think we need this, that, it doesn't matter. What do you know? You don't know ball. Your knowledge is in the mud. The moment Conte comes out and says he's right. We've got to do this. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what is needed at Tottenham Hotspur. So let's hope for an amazing summer. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. What I would say is this can't be a one-off thing. If we do go out and we find 5, 6, 7 top players, I'm not talking world class. I'm not talking Mbappe's. I'm not talking Haaland's. But if we go out and sign some top class pros that have been there, seen it and done it, for me, what we've got to make sure is that that's then our ethos in windows to come. Now, I don't mean 5, 6, 7 signings every window, but making sure, right? Making sure that, okay, we get our squad to a place where, all right, this window, we can let 2 go. We can bring 2 in. Look at Liverpool, Man City. They've got to that stage now where they don't have windows where they bring in 5, 6 players. Last year, Man City bought in, if I'm not wrong, just Jack Grealish. Liverpool bought in, I think, Kante and I'm missing one. And then they bought in Diaz. But that's where we need to get. That, for me, should be the aim in the next 3, 4, 5 years, that is where we get to. Slowly filter out some of the players that aren't good enough. Your Jack Clarks, your Sessegnons, your Sanchez's, your Winks. Davis, I'm not sure how long he's got left. Good squad player, but again, I'm not saying all of this now, by the way, if anyone's listening, I'm not saying right now, but that should be the aim, that in the next 2, 3 years, when we look at the squad, we don't look and go, oh, there's a lot of dead wood here. So before I start, and I'm going to talk about Fraser Forster, let me just go through some of the comments. You know me, I'm big on allowing people to comment. And thank you for the people who have agreed to be my moderators. I really do appreciate that. And I understand that you don't gain anything from it. So thank you. Let's have a look. So Perchy, big yourself up, Perchy. Good to see you. Let's do a stream next week together. Let's have Jim Birdcoy said, afternoon, people, and afternoon, Savva. Afternoon to you as well, my friend. Just seeing that Levy isn't flying to Italy for the meeting with Conte, as it seems he's happy at Spurs. Yeah, I mean, for me, Perchy, I don't put too much purchase into these things. When I see, oh, there's a meeting taking place, I don't believe that these type of meetings just get decided on a whim. They would have been organised for a while. Businesses don't just do that. I'm sure these conversations happened well before the end of the season. Let's have a look. Who have we got? Vamos Savahino. Okay, like that. The Athletic has reported this Tottenham Hotspur could receive more investment this summer. The club has held talks about potentially upgrading their infrastructure. Okay, well, look, finally, let us see it. For me, I've always been confused as to how Daniel Levy, for meant to be such a wonderful businessman, hasn't managed to get us naming rights on the stadium, which would surely bring in added revenue that we can use to buy players, pay off the stadium, etc., etc. Perch has also said our academy needs work. Yeah, unfortunately, whenever I've seen the academy play, there's one or two decent players there, but then when you watch Man City's academy and Chelsea's academy, etc., we're light years behind. Coach Silva has said no one has inside knowledge. I think this is the thing. We're now in this era where everyone thinks they know everything that's going on. And I get it. There's reporters that have to constantly put out content. But as far as I'm aware, this statement came out yesterday, late morning, lunchtime from Tottenham. By 2:00, reporters were saying what they know and what they've heard. Now, what makes me laugh about that is I just fail to believe that in the 2 hours after this meeting that we were already leaking information that surely would have been there would have been very few people privy to that information. But look, that's just me. We live in an era now where everyone wants to believe everything they read, right? And I understand that. First thing before players is getting Conte signed to a new deal. Coach Silva, I do believe this. I believe that that's really, really important to get a new deal signed up. There's no point the owners now coming in and going, right, here's some budget. If the manager isn't going to say, right, okay, sign me up for a 3, 4, 5 year project. Let's see. Daryl has said we need to act now. We've been here before with Poch, set us back 3 years while other clubs are poor. I agree, Daryl. I mean, we didn't act. And unfortunately, lots of people said at the time, if we don't buy now, we're going to get left behind. Lots of people gave the old, well, who will come and sit on a bench line? And then unfortunately, you saw Walker go. Then Dembele went. And it was Rose and Eriksson and Wanyama. And before you knew it, we had the squad we had a year ago. So we've got to be really careful we don't let that happen again. Purchase said, for me, it's about getting business done early. So on match day, we are ready. I completely agree. Get the signings in, get them in pre-season, take them wherever we're going, whether we're going to Asia or the US or wherever we're going. Get these players in, get them bedded down and get them ready for the season. I don't want to hear, so-and-so only joined a week ago, so he needs 10 weeks to get into Conte's fitness regime. That's not how big clubs work. Let's have a look. Jimmy Koska. Okay, yeah, don't let those people. I won't let them get to me anymore. I promise you. I promise. Unkasana has said, don't forget that Conte buys for now, so surely giving him 250 million this summer, you definitely compete for high honours next season. Look, we'll talk about that in a minute. I think a lot of fans, personally, are getting carried away with talks of titles. First of all, let's see who we buy, right? Second of all, Man City and Liverpool aren't suddenly going to turn into bad teams. I think all of a sudden we're thinking we bring in 7 new players and all of a sudden we leapfrog those 2. I just don't think it's that quick. I think there's a process. I think it's going to take a few years. And that's as long as they keep this up. This isn't a one window to win the league. This isn't that. And I think we've got to remember that. It's about the long term. And that's why I'm upset as to where we are today, is because we haven't thought about long term until now. I am going to get Marlon into the feed and then we can see what he's going to say about things. Marlon, how are you, my friend?
Good afternoon, all. How are you doing? I've been watching slowly what's been going on in the ticker for the last 15 minutes as well. 2 calls at once.
Mate, listen, multitasking. Yeah, well, listen, I just thought a good idea to get some chatting during the lunch hour. So, Marlon, listen, we were just talking about obviously what happened yesterday. By saying it means different things to different people. It depends which part of the statement you want to read. Tell me this, Marlon. Were you like 90% of our fan base, like a kid on Christmas morning, and you read the headline of 150 million? Or did you delve a little bit deeper and go, well, hang on, this isn't purely all for transfer funds? Where's your head with this statement and what the club has said?
Look, a very, very positive statement.
Yep.
And that's how I saw it. It was a very positive statement. I then started to read it and went, okay, it's not just on the field, it's also off. It does say that clearly in there. So you just have to be literally a bit careful on what you're hoping for. But it was one of them. We knew it was coming. No matter what, it was kind of in the pipeline. A lot of people, when you read a lot of the media reports over the last 3 or 4 months, it was coming. I think a lot for the Enic out fans, this is what they finally wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's all be honest about that. I know a lot of people going, where's the Enic out mob now? But it's a case of, no, this is what they've been asking for. You can't really sit there and go, where are you now? No, it's something that's been promised that they've been asking for probably the last 15 years. Now, my thing is, now this is where I go, okay, I'm happy, but Enic have always spent money. It's how we're going to actually officially spend that money on the pitch. Because we could sit there and we're all happy that they're going to go and spend, because it's not just 150 million. We've got the player sales that have got to come into this as well.
Sure.
So there's probably a bit more to spend than usual. But the biggest thing for me is, please go spend it wisely. Don't go and spend it on, let's be honest, Gareth Bale money and how we spent that, where Eriksen was probably the only shining light out of those 7. Yeah, Chadley was okay. Lamella, we got stuck with him for 7 years. But it's about how we spend it. And the only thing that I'm feeling positive about is January. And I think I've said it before, where we bought Bentancur, Kulu, but actually we were looking at Luis Diaz as well. And the fact is, those 3 have come into the Premier League and have taken it by storm. Even Luis Diaz, no matter how much we want to go, we got the better under Del with Kulu. No, he's been a revelation for Liverpool. Yeah. So actually, he would have been great for us as well. So that's the only thing. If as long as we're looking in the right place, it's all positive news. And actually, as a fan base, we should all be together on this. It's not a case of, Enic out over here, Enic in over here, arguing about it. No, let's all be, this is bringing it together. You can see that Conte has done something to Daniel Levy in the last couple of months. Let's be honest. And for this, it's all timing at the end of the day, because would they have done this if we'd finished in Europa League and it all came out? We just don't know. But it's all positive stuff, and that's how we got to look at it.
Yeah, Marlon, listen, I agree. I mean, look, when I first read the statement, I read it on my phone and it was a bit small, and I was like, oh, wow, they're pumping 150 million in. Got to my lunch break yesterday, actually read it, and I was like, okay. And when you just try to make people keep their feet on the floor, it's greeted with, oh my God, you don't know what's going on. It's like, well, hang on, slow down. Would I love a window, Marlon, right, where all of a sudden we go, right, there's 300 million, 250 million, and we're bringing in solid pros. Of course, right? Of course. Is the amount important to me? No, right? I said this yesterday with Henry Wright. I said, look, if we spend 150 million only, but it's on the right 4 or 5 players, fantastic. As opposed to spending 250, 300 million, and it's just a fill your boots exercise. Yeah. Let's get bodies through the door.
Yeah.
So for you, what's the most important thing with this money now? Is it that it's a quick fix, get 5, 6 in, and then we don't do anything for a few years? Or would you rather see less players through the door that are more quality, and then we repeat that formula over the next few years until we don't have deadwood at the squad?
Look, if we only spent 60 million of this, but you told me those, and then we spent on 60 million, say it was 10 million on each player, but 6 of those players were of quality, whether they're free transfers and wages and stuff, and that's how we spent it. I'll be more than happy if 6 quality players came through the door. Then we spent it on 10 players and spent the whole 150 million, and actually only 2 ended up being, you know, perfect for the squad. Look, it is about quality, and it's great to see, you know, the Enic have kind of put out there. I know they have to, but what they're putting into the team, they haven't done it for a while, or to the club, I should say. But if it's not spent on quality and building this team over the next 2-3 years, it's a waste of time. It can't just go on this summer. It has to be now. That's 150 million, you know, to get us in and get us working and get us, you know, get the squad stabilized, get Conte what he needs, you know, and stuff like that. Because it doesn't matter if they put 150 million in now. What happens in January? Right? Say we get to January and we need them players to get us over the line like we did this January. Are we not going to be spending it because we're like, no, it was all spent in the summer?
Right.
And this is the issue that we kind of have got to consider. But as long as it's now actually the only positive thing that came out yesterday that I thought that's the first time they've mentioned on the pitch, in anything.
Agreed.
They've ever done. That's the first time they've mentioned it, and I think that speaks volumes, because no matter how much I'm going to say it, the Enic in want to criticize the Enic out people, actually that's a major statement that the Enic out people that are there have made the board think about what's going on and everything that's, you know, I know a lot of people use the COVID as an excuse and this, and the money's always been there. Like, let's be honest about it. And it was always about the right timing. But actually, if they'd employed the right coach how many years ago, would they have invested? Like, Mourinho should have been invested in. Like, no matter how much we want to put it, he should have been invested in.
Of course.
No matter what happened of the car crash show that happened afterwards, if you gave him the defenders he wanted, it could have been a whole different scenario.
Right, absolutely. And I think that this is the key thing. I mean, like Perchi has said here, he said he got called negative for not going mad. It was a good statement, but nothing has happened yet. Now, I was trying to echo this sentiment last night that, look, on the face of it, it sounds fantastic. But look, Marlon, you and I, we could go to our missus, right, and say, do you know what? I promise you we're going Barbados. I promise you I'm going to get us a month in a 5-star, all-inclusive pub. That's great. Until I'm going, right, there's the plane ticket, bought, signed, sealed, delivered. It doesn't actually mean anything. So use whatever analogy people want, right?
Yep.
I'm not saying this isn't positive, and I think this is the thing where I try to bring a bit of realism and context. People excuse that for negativity. What I want to see is, right, it's the 25th of May right now. People are already starting to buy players, okay? Where are Spurs going to be 25th of June?
Exactly. No, that's a good point,
Yeah, where are we going to be 25th of June, beginning of July, just before they all set off for their pre-season training? Where are we going to be? Or are we going to be doing this, oh, well, we're still going to try and get good deals in the last week of the window, therefore not prepared? Would that be fair?
Yeah, no, that's very fair. And that's the way we have to look at it. You know, at the end of the day, we've got to wait till Man City and Liverpool make their moves, right? Because that's unfortunately, we kind of got to be in with the type of players they're wanting if we want to catch them. So, you know, the Luis Diaz thing will always be a key thing, because at least we were in the hunt. You know, he agreed everything, but he wanted to check if Liverpool wanted him first. At the end of the day, that's his prerogative, right? He wants to go play for, let's be honest, one of the best clubs in England, best clubs in Europe, right? But he was willing to come to Spurs. So that means we're in the right window, we're shopping for the right people, and it is going to cost us probably a little bit more than usual. But we don't necessarily have to be spending the 45 million that they did, because actually we've just spent 19 million on Bentancur, who's a quality player. Fraser Foster, if he comes in today, let's be honest about it, he's a quality second goalkeeper. I've always liked him. Yeah, he makes his mistakes. He always tend to make them a bit against Spurs. But actually, when I look at it, he's probably the best second choice goalkeeper we've had for a very long time. Like we've never had, and Hugo Lloris is getting on now, and there's going to be injuries in him. Now, would I trust Fraser Foster to be playing for us in the Champions League next year? I personally would. I think he's that sort of goalkeeper that if he was to come in, we actually wouldn't go. It's not a massive downgrade. So we are looking in the right places, but again, until I see these players holding up the shirt, coming through the door, I'm not going to get too overexcited. Am I happy? Am I being positive? I'm a lot happier now and positive than I was just before Benson Kounkulu signed. I was not, like, you know, there'd be a lot of Spurs fans who went on Sunday, right, at the Norwich game, that probably sat there and thought, none of us, when we chose to go to Norwich, thought we'd be in this positive situation. You know, because a lot of us would have been planning it 6 months, 7 months ago, going, I'm going to that Norwich away game. None of us thought. The party atmosphere that I witnessed on Sunday is the first time in a very long time that I've been to a game and the whole fan base is together. Conte, the team's together. Conte's with us. And I always said, I don't think Conte's leaving this summer. And I personally, I think Levy has persuaded him. And this is where Levy is good. And, you know, whatever conversation they had after Burnley, Conte changed. His interviews changed. Everything changed. And even when we lost to Brighton and we drew at Brentford, a lot of us weren't throwing our toys out the pram going, oh my God, this is all going to mess up our season. Actually, as a fan base, I thought we were calm. Even the likes of Purgy, I'm going to use him, was calm about the situation. And even, you know, even though he's been called negative and stuff, he was very calm. And actually, he said, I won't be surprised if we got fourth. He said it to me from the Man United game. He told me, I wouldn't be surprised if we got fourth. He just knew what was in front of us we could get. And I think the whole fan base stuck together. And that is exactly how we were. And it wasn't the case of everyone, you know, there was some doubters. I personally thought we weren't going to get fourth. I thought we'd mess it up. However, I was happy to be proved wrong. I will celebrate us, not celebrate. I'll be happy that now we've got the platform. And as you've said before, the platform to move forward. And that's the big key thing in the whole of this. It's the platform, right? And I know Arsenal fans are going, oh my God, you lot got fourth and you lot celebrating. No, we're celebrating it because we finally got a manager that we can all believe in and go, this is not where we want to be next year. We don't want to be fighting Arsenal for fourth. Right. If we can, right, personally, if we can be fighting Chelsea for third and be in a title race like Chelsea were up until probably December time, January time, before they messed it up, that's where we need to be. We need to be hunting and be with Man City and Liverpool.
I think, Marlon, that's a great point. Look, I see everything as milestones. So, you know, the stadium, I never celebrated the stadium because for me, it was a platform. And the fact that I don't... and the fact that I don't celebrate stadiums, right? Because they're buildings that go in every now and then. I don't ever go, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't celebrate my house where I live, so I'm not going to celebrate a stadium. But, you know, the stadium was a platform. You know, Conte, again, it's a platform. They're all platforms for different things. The stadium's a platform for revenue streams, and for... And for stadium naming rights and to bring in revenue. Conte's a platform to better players, better management, better the way we're viewed within football. For me now, the Champions League, again, is a platform to better players, to better attraction within our football club. So I do think these are all positive things. I just don't lose my mind over them yet because I still see it that this is gradual. So where I'm leading with this, Marlon, is I'm seeing a lot of fans now that have suddenly gone, bearing in mind a few months back it was will we make top four against this dreadful Man U and Arsenal team, to we've beaten Norwich, this statement's come out, and now all of a sudden we're in a title race. Now it's for me, I feel like it's going from 1 to 100, right? Very, very quickly. Okay. I view it like this, Marlon. I view it that, are we in a title race? I don't really care who we buy this summer. So I do, obviously I care, but sitting here, but before we've bought them, I don't think it matters who we buy. I don't think a title race, a true title race, should be the immediate, i.e. this next season coming up, goal. I think, like you said, it should be, let's cut that gap to Liverpool and City. Yeah. Let's overtake Chelsea, depending on what they do over there. We don't know. We just heard this morning that they've got new owners at the cost of 4.25 billion.
Yeah.
But do you think are fans getting, rightly so, I get it, it's exciting, but are fans getting carried away when they talk of a title charge? Bearing in mind, we don't even have a good 11 right now.
I personally, the only person who's brought that, why people think about it, is Conte. That's what he's talking about. He wants to be in that title race next year. And that's all he has said since end of Sunday. He's basically gone, full spot's great, but next year I want to be fighting for the title. So obviously a lot of people are going to jump on that bandwagon and whatnot, because it's the positivity that's coming out of Spurs right now. But if we weren't in the title race, but we finished 10 points behind the champions, whoever that may be, elect next year, would I be happy? Yes, because it means we've had a good season, no matter how you put it. It is progress, and I'm not expecting Daniel Levy next year to be going, we've gone from fourth into a title race. If he just basically had us gradually progressing to where the final goal is, it's absolutely fine. I think a lot of our problem is that we were finally getting there and it just stopped. He literally just stopped. He had, we can sit there and go, a lot of people sit there and go, Poch wasn't a serial winner or nothing. But let's be truly honest, he wasn't given the players or the funds. He was doing it on a budget. If Daniel Levy would have taken the risk on Poch at the time, we'll never know. We'll never, ever know, right? Because actually selling Cole Walker to Man City was probably the biggest thing when we knew it was game over. The glory days are gone, because Man City were there trying to, they spent £150 million, I think it was, on just defenders alone that season.
I think it was just fullbacks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mad.
And actually, we could, if we went and spent all our money on fullbacks this season, right? Because that's probably our weakest area, right? As a lot of people have said, and I protected Royale and stuff, but I know it's probably one of our weakest areas under Antonio Conte. But it's where we want to be. If I personally, I wouldn't like to go into the season with Eric Dyer and Davis next year. But if it came to it, the way they've produced in the last couple of games, yes, I trust them in the league. I just think if it came to Champions League teams, I'm a bit skeptical about it and be like, okay. But even the Champions League, you look at most teams in Europe right now, a lot of them are not strong. It's if Spurs really wanted to make a challenge next year in the Champions League, they could. It's not going to be, Lewandowski's leaving Bayern Munich, so they're going to be slightly weakened, no matter how they want to put it. They've lost the goal scorer. Yes, they still got a good team. Can Benzema produce it again for Real Madrid? We don't know. Barcelona are just not the same right now, right? So
they're building it for the future, aren't they?
Well, so a lot of the teams in Europe are building, and the fact that Haaland's actually gone to Man City is a benefit for actually all the English teams, because it just means that one of the European teams are not going to be strong next year.
That's true.
All right.
When we look at that, listen, I would love to be sitting here in a year's time going, oh my God, I was completely wrong. We've won the title. Yeah. Of course we would. Right? Of course you would. I just think it's baby blocks. Now, what I've said all season is I did think this was a very weak Premier League. I think, and I don't want that to be confused with Man City and Liverpool not being elite teams. I think they've almost been playing in their own little league up the top there, haven't they? As you said, Chelsea were kind of thereabouts until about December and then absolutely fell off a cliff. Yeah. So for me, I think that they're 21, 22 points. Somebody will tell me if I'm wrong by a point in front of us, which is the 7 wins, right? That's whichever way we look at it, that's 7 wins. Now, I look at it like this. You've got 5, 6, 7 players that are going to come into the club, right? First of all, how quickly do they all settle? Yeah. How many of them come straight into our first 11 as opposed to how many are gradually put in? The big point I was trying to make last night with Henry and Will is I think what we've got to take into account as well is, yes, we had a wonderful second half to the season, and I believe that would have put us in third and would have put us close to Liverpool and Man City. But what we've got to remember as well is from December or November onwards, we were only playing one game a week.
Yeah.
And we could concentrate on the league. Now, next season is going to bring us a whole different dimension, especially for Conte to deal with, because now all of a sudden you can't rely on 11 players week in, week out like we just have for the last 5-6 months. You've got Champions League in the week. You've got FA Cup. You've got League Cup. So for me, the reason why I don't think it's going to go from here to winning the title in a year is, are the players going to be able to cope with that? First of all, we're bringing in new players that won't have played in the Premier League, some of them. They've got to adapt to that. Plus, they're going to adapt to going from one game to 2 games a week. Does that all make sense without it sounding negative? I just feel there's a lot of variables that we've got to take into account rather than just going, we've bought 7 amazing players, we're winning the league.
No, to back up what you actually said, right? And this is a worry about Conte more than us having more games a week. So there was a stat that came out, and I can't remember if it was just before the last international window, where it said when Conte had 4 or less days to prepare for a game, I think we'd won. Well, we hadn't won any at the time. I think we've won one since. But when he had 4 or plus days, he'd won. And I remember an Italian journalist, he tweeted and said he was always confident that we'd get a result at Man City, because he said Conte had a week. I believe he had a week, nearly a week to prepare the guys for, compared to when we played Wolves and Southampton and all that. He was like, you didn't have more than 4 days to prepare. Yeah. So we ended up losing them. And it's a big Conte thing. It's not just coming around the corner. If Conte doesn't have much days to prepare, his teams tend not to play as well or tend to not get a result. But when he has a week, he's brilliant.
That's interesting.
It's an interesting stat, because that's why his European record probably isn't as great as he would like it to be.
Yeah, sure.
So
sure.
I completely get what you're saying, and yeah, it's going to be about a squad, but it's for us as Spurs fans, we now have to make a decision on, actually, do we concentrate on the Champions League next year? Now, hear me out. Before people go, what are you talking about? Because actually,
they're going to do that whatever you say. You know that, Marlon. It doesn't matter what you say.
Do we need to have a strong Champions League campaign next year? Probably not. If we're looking at it, if we won a trophy, if Antonio Conte said, look, I'd rather concentrate on the league than the Champions League, we'll get the 3 European nights that we knew won in the group stage, and then whatever happens after that happens after that. But if he said, actually, I want to go for the league title and probably have an FA Cup or a League Cup run in it, would you begrudge him, even though we've got back in it? Because at the end of the day, if he's going for a league run, the likelihood is we're going to have Champions League the year after, and then he could go, I've won the trophy, now let me concentrate on the Champions League. Right? Because Man City try and concentrate on everything, but their Champions League run always falters. And then the only time I think they got to the final last year, but that was down to COVID and everything like that. But with Man City, if they said 1 year, actually, forget the league, let's concentrate on the Champions League, we possibly could see I reckon Man City would probably go and win it. But because they've got so much money and a bigger squad, they concentrate on everything. And sometimes what people forget, the Champions League is a cup competition. It's not a league thing. And that's where Man City always, for me, falter, because they've not, even though they've won many cups, but when they get a hard tie, they always seem to go out. When they actually get a decent team in the cup, they never seem to go on and win it. They tend to lose. You look at the FA Cup runs when they used to get Arsenal in the semi-final. They got, who they get knocked out by this year? Was it not PSG? It was PSG, wasn't it? They got knocked out by this year. But whenever they come up against a tough team, they just kind of fall flat. Yeah, and that's the thing with Man City.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if anything, they've shown how difficult it is, even with their squad. It's so difficult to balance all of these tournaments. And I can't tell anyone what to do, right? Yeah. Cool. Everyone's their own fan, have your own expectations. But I'm not sitting here right now going, yep, we're going to win the FA Cup, League Cup, semis of the Champions League and win a league. It's progression. Progression for me is, okay, the progression this year, we made top 4. Good. Progression. There's your platform. Progression next year is, first and foremost, for me, the most important thing, consolidate that top 4. There's no point doing it this year and then next year we go, well, we won the FA Cup, but we finished 6th, right? So for me, consolidate, See if you can get a cup, yeah, and give a good account of ourselves in the Champions League. Anything else is a bonus, because no one in Europe's going to go, oh, we expect Spurs to win the Champions League.
Yeah.
My worry for fans is some of their expectations are so high that they leave themselves open to ridicule. They leave themselves open to huge disappointment. That's why I'm never hugely disappointed anymore, because I don't have these unrealistic expectations. I don't have delusions of grandeur. Now, with that, I wanted to move on. Look, just want to go through some comments. I'm aware I haven't been as good with those today. Then I want to talk to you about goalkeepers and defenders. Let's have a look. So, okay, so a bit of a chat going on. I've noticed in about Max Aarons. Is he good enough? Is he not? We're going to park that, but we will come back to this Brian Maguire, because this is another player we've been linked with for years. He divides opinions. So let's see what we can. Let's see what we can do. Oh, my charger is absolutely about to die. Bear with me 1 second, Marlon. If that happens, we're all in trouble. Right. Okay, and I'm back. Okay, so we'll come back to that. The big boss man has said, Marlon, we can negate the effect with a larger squad. Yes,
we can. He's right. We can. It just depends on whether we can get that larger squad and be of quality. That's the only thing, and that's what we need to kind of get into the rhythm of. We just don't know. And you're absolutely right. We could, but it's all dependent on where this money goes in the summer, and it's a very key thing.
Just having a big squad doesn't really mean anything unless it's got quality. So if when you bring back Hill, Lo Celso, Ndombele, and then when you look at Dele Alli only just went, right, and those sort of things, we actually had quite a big squad at one point, but it was full of nothing really. So for me, I'd rather have a slightly smaller squad with 4 or 5 backups that we know when they come into the 11, we're not going, oh God, no, he's playing. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'll give you a prime example, because a lot of people are talking about having this big squad. But, you know, some of the players that are in the first team now coming out of it, because actually they'll make better squad players than they will first team players. Now, I take Ben Davies. Now, when he was a squad player, every time he came back in, we were like, oh my God, sell him. right? But at the end of the day, when he started playing regular in a regular position, look at the difference. So you have to be very careful on who you're making a squad player and who not, because a lot of them can't just be taken out, come back in, Ben Davies has proven that he's a player that can't be taken out to thing. But where I see Davinson Sanchez in the last couple of weeks, maybe he can. He's not the greatest, but he's been absolutely solid for the last 3 games. You know, 3 clean sheets. We can't take that away from him, but he's another one. When he starts playing regularly, he starts making mistakes. We want him back out the team. But if he has to come in one game here and then another one down the line, actually, he's not that bad at doing that. So maybe do we keep him as a squad player? I know, instead of a first team player, because I think that's what we're all looking at. So you have to be very careful on who you want to be the squad player and who you want to be a first teamer, because some players can't deal with being squad players. And Ben Davies, unfortunately, is one of them, because you just have to look at his performance of when he was a squad player compared to when he got a regular first team spot.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I think, you know, sometimes players become better when they're not in the team, right? I remember when I was first taught that, you know, some players, we only realize how good they are when they're not available.
Yep.
And vice versa. Some players you realise when they are available, oh no, we don't want them in the team.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly go through these, and then we'll talk about. We'll start with Fraser Forster. Harry Kane looks to be willing to extend his Spurs stay with a new contract. Okay, positive.
Only because no one wants him. Let's be honest. Man City said no. Only because Man City don't want him now. Because apparently his agent sounded out Man City, I think around March time, to figure out whether they were going to come in with another bid this summer, which they've said, no, they're getting Haaland now. That's it. They're over. So what's Kane supposed to do? He's going to sign a new contract. So good for us. Let's be honest. Great for us. But it's not like he wants to sign the new contract and be with us. There's a difference.
I think this is the key thing. Like I've seen so many podcasts and so many media channels will always say, will Kane decide to stay at Spurs? And I've always said the same thing. First and foremost, it's not his decision. right? It's his decision to turn around and go, I want to leave. That's his decision.
Yeah.
Whether he leaves, whether the difference between him wanting to leave and the decision to leave isn't his, right? And I think we saw that last year. If he had his way, he would have gone with a £100 million bid. Right now, the whole landscape looks very different. We've had a season without Kane. They might have been winning the quadruple. You just don't know, right? But you are 100% right. It's not down to them, right? It's down to the owners and many factors. Golden Boot Sound said, no one knows what we can do until after the transfer window. If we spend 200 million, we can at least challenge City and Liverpool. I think this goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's not about you could make that number one. You could make that number a billion. It's not about the amount of money that we spend this window. It's about who. Yeah. It's the who. What's the personnel? Are we getting the personnel in the right positions, which I'm sure Conte is all over. There's no doubt there. But we can't just say spend 200 million and all of a sudden we catch up Liverpool, Man City, who have been building for years and years and years and years and years. I don't see that these things happen like that. No doubt that will be called negative, but I just feel there's a huge gap, Marlon, right?
Oh, there is a huge gap, and we can't expect to fill it in one season. Even me, who's very excited about everything right now, and I'm actually back on board with the whole Spurs train at the moment. I'm really hoping they don't let me down by the end of this window, but it's a case of there has to be some realism to it. And as Spurs fans, it's all exciting. Yes, let's be positive. I think that's the big key thing as a fan base. You get you get some who are over positive, and then you get some of us who are just completely like, no, until I see it happen, it's not going to happen. Exactly. It's never that middle ground. But you know what? It's the first time in probably 21 years that he's been in charge that I've finally gone, all right, this is what you've been talking about for the 21 years.
Right.
Do I trust you to do it? Let me see. As long as he stays out of football matters, and when I say football matters, let Paratici and Conte do their thing, right? And let them take the blame. Don't get involved in negotiations. You've brought in Paratici to do that. Let him do it. Let him go ahead and do it. At the end of the day, it's down to you employing someone to be in there, so it still falls on you. But at the end of the day, if he wants to go spend 60 million on Bruno Fernandes and you think that's too high, don't be getting involved. Just sign the checks and get on with it.
Absolutely. And I think, look, this is a good point. We will get to transfers in a minute. And let me know what time you need to drop off, Marlon. But this is spot on. It's not just about building a team, is it? It's about, at the moment, we are not a club that can look to our bench and go, things aren't working. Right, let's bring on. I'm not saying we're going to ever be Man City, but the most recent example I can give is the last day of the season, City and Liverpool, both not winning.
Yeah.
City bring on Gundogan, who goes and scores 2. Liverpool bring on Salah, who goes and scores to get them in the league. We don't have that. Now, I'm not saying we're going to buy players like Salah for the bench. I'm more talking about the scenario.
Yeah.
It's that when you look at our bench, I never look at it and go, well, don't worry. If it's not working by the 60th minute, we'll bring on 1, 2, 3. Plus, we're going to 5 substitutions in the Premier League next year. So I think from Jim Bird, I think this is a really big statement. Just quickly, Matty Cash, we're going to talk about Matty Cash in a minute. I can't see him leaving, but we will talk about him. Forster has passed his medical, might be announced today. We're talking about him in 30 seconds. Not Emerson or Winks type of stuff. Absolutely. Hey, Savva, sorry I couldn't get to your message about the thumbnail. Paul, don't worry, mate. Listen, I just appreciate that you do my thumbnails for me, mate. So I also appreciate that you don't live in the same time zone as me. So sorry for the early message. Savva, Loris, Kostic, Bastoni, Romero, De Vries, Spence. This back sick good enough. I mean, you don't need me to answer that. You know it. Yeah, let's get some more likes. You know, it does take time. You know, I do this, you know, after I finish work or during work, and not if my boss is watching on my lunch hour. Through the right side, imagine thinking Matty Cash isn't good. We'll talk about him. Son of a Salah, sure he's the answer. Okay. Let's just really quickly. Darren Ambrose said we should sell Kane after getting 150 million investment. I listened to that yesterday on TalkSport. He didn't say explicitly. He was asked the question if the offer was, again, this is where we have to be really careful and listen to the whole conversation. Darren Ambrose was asked, because he's a Spurs fan, he was asked if the bid came in for Harry Kane at this age, off the back of already being given whatever funds this summer, would we take that 150 million knowing that it's going to be pumped back in and that Conte will spend wisely? He said he would consider it. Now, I think 150 million for any 29, 30-year-old, I think is considered. So I don't think he's out of the realms. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Full ball. Do we need 2 more centimetres or just 1? For me, 2. Let's talk transfers.
Cool.
So I want to talk. All of the talk, Marlon, has been the first couple of days. I'm seeing the same names fly around, right? So I won't be impressed in 3 or 4 days' time or 2 weeks' time when Romano turns around and says, "Oh, Spurs are definitely in for Kostic or Basto." I won't be impressed. We've seen these names. Fraser Forster looks like he's going to be the first one through the door. You touched upon it earlier, so I think I know your answer. Yeah. But from where we've been, Joe Hart, Galini, Mikhail Vaughan, when I look at recent number 2s, where does he stack? Is it a good decision for the club? And are there any negatives to it or just positives?
Okay, so probably I did like Mikhail Vaughan, and I believe in our last season at White Hart Lane, Vaughan probably had his best as a number 2. I think he played the Liverpool game and was excellent. And I think he played a couple of cup games, but then he kind of let us down going on after that. But he was a great number 2. I probably put him and Forster in the same section as going, actually, they're decent number 2s. And when called upon, it's great. Now, my biggest negative of the transfer is, and this is going to be, is his age and the fact that Lloris, I believe is only got another year left on his deal. I can't remember.
I think he just signed up for 2 more. I think somebody will tell us if we're wrong. Go, you're all right.
So what my thing is that we've got to try and replace Lloris, because Lloris in his contract basically said he wants to be here to get the next Tottenham number 1 and kind of get him in place before he leaves. And that's my only thing, is that we should be signing someone who's going to be number 1 now, because Lloris is at that age where he's getting old. He ain't going to be our number 1 for very long. So it's kind of the case of Forster's not going to be our number 1 because of his age. So the only thing I'm a bit disappointed in, are we going to be linked with the likes of, I'm going to throw this name out there, Dean Henderson. He'll be, a number 1 for the future and probably be a great asset for Spurs. But it's a case of, I'm okay with the signing, but we do need to go in and get a number 1, because Lloris ain't going to be here forever. And, there's going to be a time, Lloris...
When does that happen for you, Marlon? When's the moment where we go, right, no more number 2s, we need a new number 1? When is that?
See, personally, I thought it should have been this summer.
Okay.
Personally, and that's why I'm a bit shocked that we've gone for Forster. I'm happy with the signing, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was going to be this summer because of the way Lloris, when he signed his contract and what he said. Yeah, it possibly could. Do you know what? Let's be honest, it still could happen. We don't, it's possibly it could be Forster and another. So we don't know, but I prefer. Yeah, it should be now, because Lloris is a great goalkeeper and I love him to pieces. He's one of my favourite players over the last 10 years, and he's been an asset to this club. And he's a World Cup winner and everything like that. He's not, he's been great servant, but he is getting to that point where he does make some high profile mistakes now. And that's where I start getting on goalkeepers going, it's a bit of time. But, I think he kept 16 clean sheets this year. You can't knock a goalkeeper at that age, knocking thingy. But I did personally thought we'd sign a first team goalkeeper. If it's not this year, it has to be next year. We need to be going in for a goalkeeper next year, and it has to be a first team goalkeeper. It needs to not be another Lloris, And that's where I'm at.
I'm with you on, I think we need a new number 1, but I'm with you half of that statement. I think we can wait a year. And the only reason I say we can wait a year is, I think when you look at top goalkeepers, and I'm not talking about up and coming, I'm talking about top goalkeepers, even if you chuck a Dean Henderson kind of name into the mix, what are we looking at paying? And then I look at, is that where we want this budget to go now? Or can we say, well, no, we've got Lloris for another year. That can be next year's part of the project. Now, Fraser Forster, for me, I summed it up to someone yesterday where I said, I wouldn't worry. Like, it wouldn't be like if I saw Forster was in the team sheet at the weekend, I wouldn't have the same feeling I have when I see Galini in the lineup, right? Am I saying that means he's the best goalkeeper in the world? No, because I know people like to label them either world-class or shit. No, I just think he's a very steady, experienced goalkeeper that's been there, seen it and done it. So I don't worry about that. Would you play? Here's the question for me more. Is he coming to purely be a number 2 and sit on the bench every single game? Or do you think this might be, right, you come in, you're definitely going to play League and Cup and maybe the odd game in the Premier League? Or are we purely seeing, we're never going to see you unless Hugo Lloris gets injured? What situation do you reckon must have been promised to him?
No, he will definitely play League Cup and FA Cup. That's without a doubt. I think Lloris played too many games this year because of being Galini in the end. Even in the Conference League, he started to, we were letting in goals left, right, and centre when he was in goal. But Forster for me, I look at it like this, and a lot of Southampton fans will probably know better than I will. But when he was in goal for them, they wasn't really fighting relegation. When he was their number 1, as soon as they took him out and put McCarthy in, all of a sudden Southampton couldn't really buy wins. And it was really weird when Hussenthal came in that he didn't put him back in goal, because I thought McCarthy, I know he was dropped because of the high profile mistakes he was making, but I felt he was still the better goalkeeper and the better option. And it was the last 2 or 3 seasons they have been fighting relegation. He got brought back in against Liverpool. Was it last season? For one game, they won it 1-0, and he made so many saves. And then he dropped him, and then they didn't win a game hardly after that. And then he's come back in this season. And can we sit there and say that Southampton have been fighting relegation? No. None of us have put him in the relegation battle, because he's been a steady goalkeeper for them for the whole of last year. So I'm looking at it. It's positive for us, because he's done a great job at Celtic when he went back on loan and rediscovered his form. When he was at Celtic the first time, he was brilliant. For them, that they did try and replace him for a certain amount of years. So it's positive. It's positive, and it looks like we're looking in the right direction. We knew we were gonna need English-based players, because we've got so many foreigners at the moment. I think that we're nearly at the quota. So it's going to be really interesting about who's in and who's out. So
absolutely,
I'm happy with Lloris for next year. So
okay, so before we move on to some other options on goalkeepers, guys, if you are in the show, please hit the like button. Please, it is free, as Perchy said. It's free. It's just a free. All you've got to do is tap like, and then if you can subscribe to people like myself and Marlon, it is great. It does help us, and I think whether you agree with our views, whether you hate our views, hate us, like us, it does take a lot to do this regularly, to find content, to find guests. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background, setting up StreamYard and YouTube. So it is appreciated. Okay, Marlon, look, I know you've just got a few minutes. So just before you need to go, I'll carry on for another half hour. Just before you need to go, forget the goalkeepers. I was going to ask you more about goalkeepers. Talk to me. I'm hearing defenders-wise, I'm hearing the same names over and over again. I'm hearing Spence. I'm hearing Kostic. I'm hearing Bastoni. I'm hearing De Vrij. I'm hearing Bremer. Is this a case of fans just wanting these players? Or do you believe that these are the players that Antonio Conte wants? I mean, it's always that blurred line, right?
Yeah. So De Vrij, I think probably Antonio Conte wants, because of trust and worked with him before. I've not really known much about him, I'll be totally honest. So it's a case of possibly, but if I'm really being realistic, I think Pau Torres at Villarreal is probably going to be the realistic target, just due to the fact that they want Lo Celso. And he's had
a good defender, right?
And a good defender, and he's been linked with Man United in the last couple of days. And I'm sitting there going, Spurs agreed a fee with him last year. It's just that he didn't want to come because of Champions League football. So I get how big Man United is, but Conte's here. We've got Champions League football, and we've got a player that Villarreal won. There's, I'm thinking Paratici's got to somehow. There's got to be some negotiating power there for him, depending on what they want. Because if Pau Torres goes to obviously Villarreal, it's probably that money that's going to come to us for Lo Celso. So if Pau Torres is available, and watching him this year, actually he'd be a very good, smart defender for us.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of player I'm probably expecting to come in.
Yeah.
I think what the one thing that I've learned with Paratici, and this is what we're going to get all summer, unfortunately, and you'll probably find this when he was at Juventus. What happens with Paratici, and this is how it works. I remember someone saying this last year on a podcast. If there's a left-sided defender that Paratici wants, he won't be negotiating with one defender.
Yeah.
He'll be negotiating with 5.
Yeah.
And then he'll go to Conte. We've agreed personal terms with this. We've agreed fees with all these 5 defenders. Which one do you want? What will then happen is Conte will go, I want that one. The rest will then just disappear. So unfortunately, it's going to be one of those windows this summer where no matter how we like it or not, we're going to be linked with so many players. And the likelihood is that Paratici is probably going to be negotiating with every single one of them. And it's just come out and leaked. And that's the problem we're going to have this summer. And I think for a lot of us who, will be like, oh my God, we only want to be, we want the good and quality ones. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of bad ones in there probably, or some that, that thing he doesn't want, Conte doesn't want. But I think what Paratici does, and from what I understand, is that he's always going to be negotiating for 1, 2, or 3. So there's not just one option on the table, which unfortunately for us people that don't like all these transfer rumors, there's going to be loads. But for the Twitter handlers, they're going to love it. We're going to be linked with everybody.
I think that's the key thing, isn't it? I think we're going to be linked and in talks with so many footballers that I think it's going to be anyone who plays Football Manager or FIFA. It's going to be a wet dream for them, isn't it? For me, it's all a pinch of salt until I see them holding that shirt up. Yeah. All I know is that look, if this money's there. I think there was going to be money anyway, right? Let's not be under any illusion that until yesterday's statement there was no money to spend, but it gives us the options now. How many defenders do we need, Marlon? Just before you go, really quickly, I know you need to go. How many defenders do we need? Is it just 1 centre back and 2 wing backs, or do we need more options than that?
So I believe, for me, I think we need 2 centre backs. I'm going to sit there and go, I'm not a fan of Dyer, still not. And the fact he weren't in the England squad yesterday, I don't even know what everyone was complaining about. The fact that everyone said he was the best, I think Ryan Mason came out and said he was the best English defender last year. I'm sitting there going, that is how poor the English defenders were last year. Every single one of them, right? That Dyer was the top one. And you just go to that Brighton goal, and that's why Dyer's not in the team. He turned his back, right? So he's had a good season. Don't get me wrong. He's had a good season. But whether it was good enough, for a big European side to come in and buy him, probably not. He just had an average good season. Yeah. Ben Davies, I like, but yes, I know that we'll probably need an upgrade on him. So 2 centre backs. We definitely are going to need a left wing back. I just don't trust Cesc that much, even though I like him. I do think he's been good under Conte. The right wing back situation, I believe we will probably, if Royal is going to Atletico Madrid, because that's the only club in for him right now that we know of, then I believe we do need to sign another. I don't trust Doherty that much either. I think he's, again, another player that's come on leaps and bounds, but if they're not the defenders that are going to play the Conte system very well, and that's why we get no shots on target half the time, because yes, they are very key, as everyone's pointed out. But if it was those 4 plus only 1 left back, wing back, because I think Reguilon's going, and so it was Doherty, Royal, Cesc, and another, would I be hugely disappointed? Probably not, because I'm hoping that every other position is stacked up where we've got class players in those positions, like the midfield, where we can bring on options from the bench, like an Eriksen for talking purposes when Kulu and Son and Kane's not working and stuff like that. Then I'll be relatively happy. I'm not going to sit there and go, the wing backs I know. So 4, yeah, possibly. And that's where I think most of the money should go, because once you can keep clean sheets, then with those 3 up front, let's be honest,
That's it, isn't it? I think that's it. And
Yeah.
wouldn't it be lovely going into games, not go like, I mean, I'll be honest, when I go into games, yes, Conte's done really well and we've kept clean sheets, but I go into games and I'm like, oh my God, look at 3 or 4 of that back five. Like and it's not that they've not done well since he's come in. It's just that I don't enjoy watching them play and they give me those heart attack moments.
Before I go, couple things. All I'm going to say is, for Savva to be this is the most positive I've ever known him, right? So things are going good at Spurs, right? So like, you guys go see go watch his podcast and his Twitter handles from a couple of years ago. You'll realize this is the most positive. Spurs must be doing something right. Please like and subscribe to this channel, because how interactive he is with the comments and people in the chat. Oh my God, it is spot on. Anyone who watches this, you got to come on and watch the live shows. He's spot on. He literally answers every question, and it doesn't even matter if you're a troll. Like, I've seen the videos with Son over Salah. Sons over Salah might, 2 different opinions, but you both answer each other. Let's be honest. Sometimes it happens. So please like and subscribe to this channel. It is quality, and obviously I'll come on when I can as well. But Savva's. Me and him don't agree on everything, as we've had in this chat. We haven't agreed on everything, but as long as you give him an opinion and he will look at it and digest it, and he hasn't shouted at me and called me young and all that, and I'm not even that young, but my opinion's wrong. You got to give him the facts behind it. So anyone watching this, please like and subscribe. I have my own channel that will be coming, as you see, for you from the South Stand as well. I have different people on that. Perchy in the chat's usually on it as well. So, and I'll try and get Savva on as well next season. So, to give his 15 minutes. But great channel. Please like and subscribe. It does help him out, and he does a lot of effort for this, a lot. So that's my thing before I go.
I'm going to have to transfer you a tenner, aren't I? For that. No, but look, Marlon, on a serious look, thank you. Look, I'm going to stay on people just for another 10, 15, just to answer any questions, and then I will jump off. I've got a lot of work to do. But Marlon, pleasure as always.
Thank you
and Perchy, we'll get on and do a show. Look, I'm more positive than I have been. The proof is in the pudding. Let's see what the pudding is, right? So, Marlon, top man. I'll catch you on the other side.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, mate. Take care. As I said, look, guys, thank you. There's nearly 50 of you in the show. Can I just ask, if you haven't subscribed, I'm sure most of you have, please do. It does take a lot of time, so I really appreciate that. And let's get the likes up on the show. That would be really, really appreciated. Get any questions that you've got in. I'm going to go for another 10 minutes, another 13, 15 minutes, something like that. And then I've got some work to crack on with. Let's talk. So centre backs. I keep hearing the same names. So you guys tell me. I keep seeing. Who do we see? We see De Vrij, Skriniar, Pau Torres, Bremer, Bastoni. Are we missing anyone? Are we missing anyone that? Obviously, these are the names that keep going round and round. But is there anybody that you would add into that? Is there anyone that you think, well, that's a good signing, not going to cost the earth and is achievable? I don't mean like Ruben Diaz and Virgil van Dijk. Let's be really honest. That's not going to happen. So JGR Make has said Tarkowski. Now, Tarkowski for me is a really interesting one. I think what he is from, and again, this is for me, he's a defender that loves defending. Like, he lives, breathes, and eats defending. You know what you're going to get with him, and he doesn't leave anything on the pitch. And I like that. Now, is he going to be one of those centre-backs that's cultured and brings the ball out? No. Would he be a good option as a squad player that can rotate? I think he would be. Probably a moot point because I believe he's going to Aston Villa. But for me, I think that's a good signing for Aston Villa. I think he's an upgrade on what they've got in terms of Konza and House and Chambers. I think he gets a raw deal. He's a throwback to the olden day centre-halves that love defending. I think he's a good player. Yeah, I never know how to say this chap's name. So yeah, when I've seen him play, he does look good. He looks he looks good. I'd take him. I don't want to go in depth like I watch him week in, week out, but what I have seen, I do like. Daryl, Savva, can you let folks know when you're live next at the end? I will do. Yeah, I'm not sure. It will probably be Monday or Tuesday next week because I fly to Barcelona on Friday morning for a weekend away with the missus. We're going to Barcelona. Just going to go and chill out. And then I realized when I booked it, I actually had this booked for a month ago, and there were some problems and problems with the flights. So it got booked to this weekend. And then I realized it was the Champions League final. So I'm going to have to try and find a bar with the missus in Barcelona to watch Real Madrid. So I'm looking forward to that. But yes, I will. Golden Boot has said, Jimenez at Atletico and Dicker at Frankfurt. I don't know a lot about Ndicka. I've seen him play a couple of times. I can't really say I remember, so I'm not going to sit here and go, yes. Jimenez at Atletico, yeah. I think if you play for Atletico, you can defend, right? It's almost like a given. You can defend if you play for Diego Simeone. So, yeah, some of that dark art stuff that comes into the game as well. Tarkowski's going to through be a decent squad player. Yeah, I do. I feel that as well. Yeah, no, I've seen this guy play a few times. He's a bit of a beast. I like this chap. I do think that could be someone that we look at, whether it's this window. And again, look, I think I always approach transfers with a degree of caution. Like, you know, we can say that we want X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. But there are going to be a lot of clubs after these players, right? It's not going to be, oh, they only want to come and join Conte and Spurs. There's going to be lots of clubs that are in the Champions League and with good managers that want to take these players. But yeah, this guy's good. Paul has said, sorry, my computer's going all crazy. Paul has said, Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni, Perisic, Dumfries. We're literally linked with Inter's entire back five. Yeah, look, Paul, I think, look, whilst I would take every single one of those players on that list, I think Henry said it last night when, you know, are we really going to be allowed to take 3 or 4 players, even 2 or 3 players from the same team? I'm not sure unless they want to sell them, but I would definitely take all of those players. I never know how to pronounce this guy's name as well, but yeah, he's a decent centre half. There's good players everywhere, right? There's a lot of good players. Villarreal want GLC, but face competition from another club. Hopefully we can get a better price. Listen, I just think if we can get anything for him, like 20-ish million, I think we've done well. I'm not a huge fan. I don't hate him. I don't really see a lot in him. So I'd be happy if we could get him off the books, get any money in for him and Ndombele, and get some proper players that can play. It's the off part of the statement I'm puzzled with. That could mean community project, women's team. Yeah, I think this is where, again, I try to keep down the middle of the road, Richard. Fantastic to see that they're talking about we're going to put money on the pitch. When they say off the pitch, we've got to take that into account. It's not all going to just go into the playing team. But does it need to all go in? Because even if 100 of it went into the team, there's going to be budget that was already there and player sales. So again, as I said yesterday, it's going to be a really interesting summer, and we'll see what happens. What I don't like is I don't like fans that come on at people that don't like Levy and Enic and go, oh, you're in the mud and oh, gutted, I bet you hate this. This is what those fans, including myself, have been asking for years, for him to back the team. This is, if they do that, then there's no reason to not want Enic and Levy running this club. So I don't understand why Spurs fans feel like it's a competition amongst each other as to who's the better fan. Oh, I backed Levy for 20 years. Look at me, I'm brilliant. I knew it would come good. Well, first of all, let's let it come good. Second of all, 21 years is a very long time. Jimenez is way too injury prone. Yep. I mean, again, these are things we need to take into account. Video. Okay, thank you for summing that up. I would never have got that. And here he is again. It's just Guardiola. Okay, I'm just gonna give up. I'm gonna give up trying to say this guy's name. Brozovic, Martinez, Barella. So apparently we're buying the whole Inter Milan 11. I like it. Let's just go and buy Inter Milan's team and stick Son, Kane, and Kulusevski up front. And Dicker is a very good shout. Let's see. Would love Koulibaly, aggressive and good in the air, but Juve and Chelsea are in for him. Yeah, Koulibaly's been talked about for years, hasn't he? Yeah, good player. But again, no one's gone in for him for years. So it'd be interesting to see where he turns up this summer. But yeah, definitely a good centre half and a bit of a, as you said, he's aggressive. He's a beast. Another one. Let's have a look. The purchase said, no, Savva, you could have come and visited. Yeah, sorry, mate. I didn't know you lived there. So probably why I wouldn't have reached out. But that would have been, we could have had some beers. I'm sure the missus would have loved that. I'm back in the UK this weekend. What day do you land? I land on Friday, 5 o'clock Friday, I think I land. Get rid of Winks and bring in Ward-Prowse. People tell me, what do you think about this? For me, that's an absolute no-brainer. I would take a Ward-Prowse. Imagine he was one of your 4 centre mids, free kicks, corners, good passing range. I like him. Fofana, but we have to be quick because PSG are in for him. Again, look, I mean, I don't know a lot about this guy, but how many players are out there that we could potentially go and get? And that's why I don't think it's just going to be the 4 or 5 that we keep talking about that we're going to see in Spurs shirts. I think that's what all Spurs fans want. But it's good. I want this to be the summer where we're not just linked with these players, but we actually get them. Too many false dawns where we're linked with top players and we never actually get them over the line. Yeah, come on, guys, hit the likes. It's free. It is free. It is free. Hit the likes. Also, I've only had 3 subscribers throughout this show. If anyone hasn't subscribed, please do. It does mean a lot. Let's have a look. Freddie SP, he was great in the first half of the season, but he's dipped a bit in the second half. I think, was that talking? I don't know who they were talking about. Spinazzola for left wing back. He's had a bad injury, but it was unreal. Spinazzola is a fantastic player. Yeah, he's just missed the whole season, hasn't he, for Roma? I can't imagine that Roma would sell him, knowing that they've just waited a whole year for him. So, yes. Yeah, great player, though. My son wasn't feeling the stream last night, left early. I don't know what that means. Okay. The best centre-back is the one who fits how Conte wants to play. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we talk a lot about who we think. Look, we're football fans, right? We could talk till the cows come home. Love this player, hate this player. He's good, he's bad. At the end of the day, Conte will be the one that gives the big green tick. Him and Paratici get the player, and then we trust them to make it work. I trust Conte to make it work. I do. Right wing back, Jonathan Klaus. What do you think of him? I don't know this guy. Sorry, should I? Am I being silly? I don't know him. Who is he? Let me know. Let's have a look. Golden Boot. I read something in the Athletic that there could be even further investment. I keep reading these types of things. Look, let's see. Let's see what happens. At the end of the day, as I've said many times, for me, it's not about oil money. It's not about how much we spend. It's about buying the right caliber of players. So if we can make those good signings happen, like if you're looking at a Kostic at 30 million, good signing, right? No one's saying every player needs to be 70 or 80 million. I left the stream last night. Also, too many trolls. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, as I said, apologies for leaving the stream yesterday. I was tired, had some things to do, and it was just when it gets to the point where there's 3 or 4 or 5 trolls all at the same time saying the same things, it does get a bit boring. I just come here to talk football. If people don't want to talk football, just don't log in. It's that simple. Right. Koulibaly, they want 90 million. Well, that'll be why no one gets him. Fair enough. Ward-Prowse is no brainer. I agree. Part of the squad, I think he'd be great. Ward-Prowse definitely, or Madison is the one I would love. Again, I think what Maddison allows you is he allows you to be able to change the formation if you want to play a playmaker. So if you want to do 3-4-3 or 3-4-1-2, I think Maddison can float from one of the sides plus create. He's had a brilliant season, scored a lot of goals, a lot of assists. For me, he's a wonderful footballer. And the fact that Gareth Southgate doesn't put him in the England squad is a reason why I don't rate Gareth Southgate. Not just that, but many reasons. Koulibaly would be my centre-back to replace Dyer, experienced and good mentor on the back line. Yeah, I'd take that. Again, I think too expensive for us. I just want competency, says Crocodox. Yes, agreed. I can handle not having world-class players come in, but I cannot tolerate the hiring of more clowns. That's the thing for me. That's what I've always said. Now, the problem is, Crocodox, is that sort of sentiment gets misconstrued for, oh, you just want to support Man City and you want oil money. No, I just want us to stop making silly signings of nobodies that aren't very good. So I really echo this sentiment. No Ericsson, Ward-Prowse or Maddison preferably. So I don't know, Richard, what do you mean? No Ericsson, Ward-Prowse? I'd take Ericsson. I think it's a no-brainer. Knows the league. He's got a new lease of life. You can see that in the way he's playing. He's passing second to none. I can't see any downside to Christian Eriksen coming back to Tottenham. No more likes to 50. Yeah, thanks, Perchy. Appreciate that. Yeah, let's get 9 more likes. Ward-Prowse would be 1/3 of our rumoured budget gone. Great player, but I'm not sure. Well, Paul, I think this is a difficulty. What is the rumoured budget? You've got to remember that what they were talking about yesterday, whilst they didn't say how much was going on players, that is aside from what we should have already had as a budget, plus player sales. But yeah, I hear you. He would be expensive, but a good player nonetheless. Expensive as he's homegrown. The comment I made that he dipped was about Fofana. Right, I see what you mean. Are we talking about Fofana of Leicester? I think I might be talking about a different Fofana. Please let me know. Molina for right wing back plays with Romero of Argentina. Again, don't know a tremendous about him. I'll go and have a look. I'll go and see what I think. Be good to watch him play in a game if Argentina are playing. So please, Jim Bird, let me know on YouTube. Let me know if there is any game where he's playing on. I'll definitely give him a watch. I'll watch any game across Europe, right, or the world, just to see a player. And then I don't take long to judge a player. Right? I don't. It's not all about what if they're amazing. Sometimes I go, yeah, great touch, great control, or I like the way he brought that out of the air. Those type of things. Why do you have Lee Gunner? Okay, I'm not sure what's that about. Hi, Savva. I hope you're okay after last night's stream. Yes, mate, I'm okay. I just got a bit bored of it. If I'm honest, I just got a bit bored when it gets personal. It's silly that we can all have a row and a debate about football, but I learnt my lesson years ago about being personal and about getting into issues with people, and that's why I don't do Twitter. I've come away from those sort of things. I don't interact with those people, but they seem to want to seek me out for my show, which is more of an indictment of them, right? That's pretty sad that they search me out. They search my name, but it is what it is, mate. I haven't checked out Porro. I will. I promise. Has anyone ever told me I look like Anthony Costa from Blue? I have heard that many years. Not so much now, but many years ago, yes, all the time. And I actually know Anthony Costa, and I have joked about this with him. So, yes. Don't trust The Athletic. Again, it's another publication where they have to put out too many articles that they're not all true. So I'm not saying they don't know anything, but when you've got someone that puts out that much publication every day, it can't all be right. Tielemans for 20 million. Apparently he wants Champions League football, and Arsenal are the only one in for him. He would definitely come to us. I like Tielemans. Lots of Leicester fans are saying that they don't like him. Whenever I've seen him, though, he looks like a good all-round midfielder, scores goals, assists, can tackle, pass. For me, I don't see a downside to him. Again, yeah, you're hearing murmurs of him going to Arsenal. I think they need him. But, yeah, I would take him. Sorry, where are I? Let's have a look. Sorry, I've completely lost my place now. Where are we? There we go. We just did that one. Not your fault, Savva. Just glad you have moderators now. Yeah, I'm gonna add more moderators. Coach Silver, if you want to be a moderator, let me know. I trust you. I'll let you be a moderator. At the end of the day, as I've said, look, we come here to talk football, right? We're all football fans. We can disagree on it. We can all say, "Oh, you're a clown. You're this. You don't like that. You don't rate them. You don't know ball." That's all good. I think it's when it starts to get personal and you think to yourself, "There's no need for it." The way I see it is if somebody wants to be personal, I'm more than happy for them to have my phone number, call me, we have a chat, right? We have a chat, we'll have a beer, whatever. We'll sort it out, man to man, and just talk it through. Unfortunately, there are people, they want to hide behind no picture, no real name, and they are that sad in their lives. They take time to create YouTube accounts about other people. But look, it is what it is, and I just need to learn to not react to it. So it's been good today, though. We haven't had any today. Fafana and Klaus are from Lens. Right. Okay. I haven't seen Lens play a lot, so I will definitely make a point. Let me know again when they're playing, if it's a friendly or whatever, and I'll definitely try and tune in. View from the South Stand. I love being on the show. Savva always gets me thinking outside my comfort zones. Look, I just ask questions. Look, at the end of the day, I think it's really easy, Marlon, isn't it, to sit there and for us to all go, everyone's brilliant. What do you think? Can you imagine this, guys? Everyone, can you imagine this for a podcast? Imagine me being a host and going, you know what? Our right wing back's the best. The left wing back's the best. The manager's the best. We've got the best centre-halves in the world. Keeper's amazing. Our tactics are amazing. Our owners are brilliant. Stadium's the best. Best beer. Best sausage rolls. What would we talk about? What do we realistically then talk about? Because everything's great. You need the controversy. You need the realism because it makes for debate. If we all sat there and said, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best, this is the best, what would we discuss, right? So the one that always gets me is I see it on loads of people's shows when they go, "Oh, get in the mud." It's such a weird saying. Like, we all have opinions. Some are right, some are wrong. No one's ever 100% right in their opinions, are they? I'm not. You guys aren't. None of the pundits on Gillette Soccer Saturday or BT Sport or the Athletic, no one's 100% right all the time. So when you're in the mud, it doesn't make sense. Never mind. Would you prefer Jesus or Sterling? I'd take either. I think I'd prefer Sterling a bit more because he's got a knack of scoring more than Jesus. But I like the fact that they can all play across the line. Sterling probably, but Jesus for me, I take both of them. They're good players. You build your squad, right? I don't know. Okay, I think we've agreed. I don't know who this Fafana is, right? And so, Darryl said Sterling for him. Think he's second to Son on stats. I'm not sure who we're talking about on that one. Crocodiles, what's your tolerance on players with attitude? Would you risk bringing someone with incredible ability if you know they've had personality issues in the past? I think this falls into that bucket of case-by-case scenario. I.e., I think where you're going with this, would I want Pogba? No. Would I have a Zlatan Ibrahimovic? Not saying now at his age, but when he had his attitude, yes, because you can have your attitude, but there's also the output, yeah? Lots of players that have this attitude don't tend to have output. Dele Alli, for years, had this attitude about him, which I didn't particularly find endearing, but he wasn't giving us output on the pitch. Pogba, the same. Better player than Dele, but the same. You look at someone like Zlatan, the attitude is just there all the time. And he produced every week. So I think it all depends who it is. What I would say is you don't want to ruffle feathers, right? You don't want to bring in a really bad egg. I don't know what has gone wrong. We used to have great defenders, Roberts, Perriman, Mabbutt, King, Walker, Houghton, etc. Now we have Rowan Cess. And I think, Coach Silver, this is the thing for me. I think a lot of the younger generation will say Cess is promising and Royal this and that. Listen, I've seen players that are a million times better than this that couldn't get in the first 11. So, yeah, I completely agree with this statement. Where are we? I'm going to go for 15 more minutes if everyone wants me to. If not, I can just shut up and we can go. Which position, Savva, do you think is the most difficult to find a good buy for us? I don't think any position is difficult to find a good buy as long as the funds are there to buy them, right? I think historically people have always said it's going to be the forwards because who will sit on a bench behind Son and Kane? But I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe in that. If that was the case, you'd never have had great Barcelona squads, Bayern Munich squads, Madrid squads, Milan squads, Juve, Chelsea, man, right? You get where I'm going. Man United managed to win a Champions League by having Cole, York, Sheringham, and Solskjaer. How do they do that? But yet we're not allowed another forward. It doesn't ring true. Pedro Gonzalez from Sporting. Yeah, I keep seeing this guy mentioned. Seen him play a few times. Looks decent. I suppose again that's one for Conte, right? Have they got their eyes on him? Do they think he's ready? I don't know. All these questions. Crocodiles, by the way, love the show. It's good to see channels like yours call out toxic positivity. If anyone ever asks what club does that, just point to Woolwich. I think, look, at the end of the day, I don't just want to make a point of pointing out toxic positivity, but I do feel that when everything's just positive, it just gets a little bit silly. Like you just want self-gratification. I was on, as I said, yes, I was on a show yesterday. I wasn't on a show. I was commenting on a show for Tapping Tobes, and this guy, AVI Troops, was in there. And because I brought some thought-provoking questions, as in, right, let's calm down. What do we all make of this? He was like, don't bring your negativity here. And it's kind of like, right, why was it negative, AVI Troops? Why? Why was it negative? What, because I'm not sitting here just saying the world is amazing? And look, some people want that. Some people need that. Some people want to go in at night and they only want to watch car crash kind of reality TV because they just want an easy watch. I come in, I want to watch documentaries. I want to watch drama, thought-provoking. You know, I like that. So it's each to their own. I just feel sometimes people could expand their knowledge and their mind a little bit more to, rather than everything's amazing. It's clearly not, is it? Jimbo Coys, yes, I will add you as a moderator immediately after this show. My thoughts are he's brilliant, but we won't get him and it will cost an absolute fortune. Crocodiles, the way Arsenal have declined needs to be a big warning on toxic positivity. Agreed. We had the same thing with Arsenal fans when they moved stadium, when they didn't do what they needed to stay relevant. And now look at them where they are. Look at them as a club. I'm not too sure the fans are happy. They don't know what's going on. So toxic. Look at Man United fans. For 3 years after Fergie, it was, yeah, we're just going through a transition. Now, 7, 8, 9 years later, it's, God, toxic positivity. I'll mess you after. Yeah, please do. What happened with the two with Michael Bridge also? So Michael Bridge, has gone away. So I'm speaking to Michael. We're going to do something in a week, 2 weeks when he's back. But I know Michael. We've done loads of shows before, so he will come on. He's a really good guy. Would I do one with Alistair Gold? Yeah, Alistair Gold wouldn't do one with me. I can assure you of that. I am too honest to the point for Alistair Gold to ever agree to come on and talk to us. And I can imagine that you would get no honesty. It would be all lines that the club... You've got to remember, he's basically employed by the club. He doesn't have a job without the club, right? That's where he makes his money. So I wouldn't expect him to come on and just give his personal views. It would be the club views. You always got to be careful. I'd take Guehi. I think he's had a good year at Palace. He's had a good upbringing at Chelsea, a good year at Palace. I don't mind him as a player. Still at a good age as well. So that would definitely be one that I don't see as a bad thing. I think our community is great as we have some people who are super positive and others that challenge. I agree. That's what I'm trying to create in here. I don't want everyone in here to agree. I want everyone to debate, but just to debate normally, with words and sentences that aren't or get in the mud, or why aren't you happy that we're going to spend money, and all these silly things. Cucurella, yeah, all day long, Tony. I think Cucurella's a really good player, very unique, doesn't look a player. Like, he looks very quirky. I like him. Good player. I take him. 7 more likes. Come on, 7 more likes. I'm going for another 10 minutes. Milenkovic Savic. I can't see us paying 70 for him, but again, very good player. Seen him a lot for Lazio. Really like him. He scores, he assists, he's a beast. I would take him. He just knows where the goal is. I'm not sure. Sorry, sometimes I lose track of who we were talking about. We talk about so many things. I would still have Zlatan any day just for his elite mentality. Yeah, listen, I mean, get him in the dressing room for sure. That's a winner. That guy breeds aura, doesn't he? You know, I love it. Didn't he turn up to US and said, "I am US soccer," or whatever he said? Somebody, what was the quote? He's brilliant. He's been one of the best players in the world for decades as well. A true class act. Does Jesus score enough goals considering the chances he has? Not clinical enough. Again, look, everyone could score more goals. For me, though, for a squad option, I think he's good. He's good, and he can play from the right, from the left, from the centre. He's got nearly 100 goals for Man City, so it's not terrible. And I think he's good. Do you know? I don't know who that is. Hi, Savva. Thoughts on Ward-Prowse? Yeah, we discussed this a bit earlier. I'd definitely take him, but I think he'll be a bit too expensive because of the whole kind of English tax piece. We had Woodgate back in the day. He stars for this team. Woodgate, for me, was world class. He was a quality defender that never, ever reached his full potential because he got so many injuries. But there's a reason Real Madrid bought him. He was sublime. I really liked him. I believe through the right side. Oyo Savva, I hope you're feeling good today. It was nice seeing. No, listen, mate. I wasn't upset. I was just a bit frustrated, mate. I wasn't upset. I'm too old for that. I was just a bit, I'll be honest. I thought to myself, I've got to get up at 6. Thought it's 11:30 at night. I'm on a show. I'm just trying to talk football, and there's lots of silly people. So it's fine. It's all good, honestly. And I did speak to Henry last night after the show finished. King was the best. King was class. King was... Do you know what? I've always said this. I think if Ledley King hadn't had the injuries he had and had stayed fit his whole career, we would have lost him. I know that sounds... Again, you can sound negative. I think somebody huge would have come calling. Great centre-back. Great bloke. Made the game look very easy. I love defenders like that. Right, I'm only going to do a few more minutes, people. Otherwise, I could be here all day and I've got work to do. Savva and Tommy, be good. Hotspur Hood. I don't know who that is. I'd happily do a show. I'll do a show with anyone. Come on, Roma. We're all Mourinho tonight. Oh, right. Okay, so tonight is the Conference League final. That should be a good game, actually. I think Roma have got some very good players as well. I'd definitely take Karsdorp. I'd definitely take... Spinazzola. I'd definitely take Ibanez. I'd definitely take Pellegrino. I think is quality. Let's have a look. I disagree with you on Cesar Royal. We've had worse players than them. I see potential in them. Very good performance against City and Liverpool. Not terrible players. Cool. Listen, I'm not going to convince you. It's fine. I know people think that. I'm not going to convince you. I just know what I think of them. I would happily never, ever see them play again. And I always say, if they were playing out in my garden, I'd pull the curtains. I just don't enjoy them as footballers. I don't see anything in them. If you do, happy for you. I just don't. No hard feelings. Fabrizio Romano just tweeted Spurs waiting on meeting with Conte to decide his future and transfers. 1 minute is done. Next we need a meeting. This is the problem. It's too much. I fail to believe Spurs put out that statement yesterday, and then there's all this going on today. This is why I don't. Sorry, I know people want to listen to tier 1 journalists and that, but I don't subscribe Just last few. Would I take Ivan Toney? For me, I think the problem is with Ivan Toney, if you bring in a player of that ilk, he only plays one way, right? I think we need a forward that can play across the line. I think we need a forward that can float off the left, right, or the centre. The way that Liverpool buy, Diaz can do it. Mane can do it. Salah can do it. Jota can do it. Guys, I am going to end it there. I need to do some work. Trossard at Brighton, just quickly. Yeah, I think he's a good footballer, him. I'd be interested to see if he steps up. Zaniolo, I can't believe I missed him out. Very good footballer. Very injury prone, but what a footballer. I am going to go. I can't. If I keep reading out messages, I will be here forever. Guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Look, I would appreciate your support in helping grow the channel. And we get more people in to get more comments, get more diversity, more variety. That's the aim. That's the goal. I've also got Reach coming in, who are a group set up by some Tottenham fans about diversity, about equality, and they're going to come in the stream in the next few weeks and tell us about what they're doing, and how we can help as fans. I'm looking at Steve Perryman in the next few weeks, Michael Bridge. We'll try and get a few others, but mostly it's about you guys. It's about the fans. It's about all of us fans. Let's hope we get a few good signings quickly, and I will catch you all very soon. If any of you want to chat, go and find me on Instagram at Savva Talks Spurs, or in the YouTube comments afterwards. Much love. I appreciate everything, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, everyone.